Well, good morning, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Welcome to our webinar this early morning. I keep wanting to say afternoon, but it's 11 a.m. It's almost 11 a.m. here in Ohio. So I I'm not used to doing these at 11 a.m. So my timing might be a little bit off this morning. But welcome. I opened up the room just a few minutes early today because I just want to make sure all the technology is working before we start the official webinar. So do me a favor, if you can see my screen. It should say on air, and you can kind of see me right there as well. You can see my house in the background. I'm working from home. I work from home on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm working from home this morning. If you can see my screen, hear my voice, just give me a quick shout out in the chat window. Just give me a Y or yes or whatever. And also, while you're typing, what time is it by you? I mentioned it's a little bit before 11 a.m. here in Ohio. Just kind of wondering where you guys are all joining me in from. Just curious. I always like to know what where people are signing in from. It's kind of interesting. All right, good. Looks like Tim and Gene and David and Lewis and Gene. All right, Jose, welcome to all of you guys. And Jose, 10 a.m. in Chicago. Awesome. A little bit earlier in the morning for you. Tim, 10:57. David, 10:59. Good to have all of you guys with us. It's always kind of fun just to see where everybody's at because I've been in this business for so long now. I used to have to go to different cities and fly out there every weekend and do these webinars, and it was kind of I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of nice. It's nice to be doing this from home now, where I don't have to fly to Chicago, where I don't have to fly to Los Angeles, or I don't have to fly to Europe. Although the Europe trips were kind of fun, to be fair, but it's just kind of nice to be able to do this right from my home office and share these things with you. Oh, Thomas in Cleveland, you're not too far away from me. You're just north of me. I'm in Medina, actually. Lewis, Fort Lauderdale, awesome. Good to have you with us as well. And then, by the way, what do you guys do? What do you do for a living? Just curious. I always ask that question because I'm curious, number one, but you know, I created the course and I created the concept really with the idea of helping the retiree create additional income. So I am always kind of curious where and what you do. Give me 1 second here. I'm having a little bit of a technical glitch. This is why I start the class early, by the way, because I sometimes have these glitches. Thomas, semi-retired. Gene as well. Video engineer David. Auto Tech 22. Jose, awesome. My brother is an auto tech as well. All right, good deal. Looks like everything is back to normal. I accidentally kicked a cord out of my computer, and I think it was actually my headset, so my camera took over. So, all right, good deal. Well, again, welcome to all of you. This is why I start the classroom just a little bit early because sometimes I run into these little glitches, and I can fix them real quick before the official class starts. So good to have all of you with us. Well, with that, it is 11 o'clock. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and officially get started with our webinar this morning. So in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest that's going to help us generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed my life, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So hopefully you're excited about it as well. Now, to kind of get started here, I got a couple of questions for you. First, since we're talking, and the reason why I asked if you're retired or not is whether you're retired or not, we all want good returns. We all want income. We all want to make more money. But what we're going to talk about this morning is a low risk system. So let me ask you, what percentage gain do you expect to get each year from a low risk income system? Not a home run system, but something low risk, something that a retiree should do, where you're not going to be risking 30, 40, 50% of your account. Something smooth, I guess you could say. All right, Tim, you were first. I'll share your answer, 10 to 15%. Okay, that's reasonable. I see another one, 15%, 12%, beating inflation and savings. I like that. That's good. Now, hopefully you're adding those together. One of the things I just recently did a presentation about was savings. And, I know what the whole thing now is everything, oh, just put it right in a savings account, it's paying 5%. Yeah, but when interest rates 3%, or not interest rates, when interest rates are 5 and inflation's almost 4, you're not really making any money. So at least treasuries, that's Lewis, yep, 20 to 30%, David. All right. So I see the most of you are right in that 15 to 20% range, which is great. That's great. I like this question because it lets me know that we're all in a reasonable expectation. We can do better than that, by the way, but we're all looking for something reasonable. And then let me also ask you a question. How long do you think, if we could do 15 to 20%, how long do you think it would take you to learn and then really start using that, implementing it, getting it up and running? How long would a system like that take? What do you think it should take? Is always a good question. All right, I see a couple months, a month, 2 to 3 months, and then Gene, I'll give you credit. You were first. 3 months, and then Lewis, Jose, 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 3 months. So, okay, I see the average. I should do a poll on this, but the average answer is right in that 2 to 3 months range. Some of you are a little bit more, some of you were a little bit less. Well, I have something that can really fit all of that. And a lot of it depends on your experience, how ready you are to jump in. We've got something that's got you covered. So I don't really see anything that's outlandish here. I don't think anybody has any unrealistic expectations. That's one of the reasons I like to ask these questions, because I kind of like to kind of set the expectations properly. And I think the expectations from what you have are pretty okay. I think they're fine. All right. Well, in the webinar I've got for you this morning, you're going to see how you could begin making a paycheck averaging about 3% per month or more. And this is based on the fact that our portfolio and most of our clients are generating on average 3% per month, and they're using our most basic income strategies. Now, keep in mind, you could do this regardless of market direction. Whether the market's bullish or bearish, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have a lot of experience. You can do this with little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than simply buying or selling stocks, and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it may sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, is this legit? And you want some proof. Well, I would too if I were you. I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of, guys standing next to their Lamborghinis and their private jets. Instagram is big for this. Instagram and, TikTok and all that crap with their cryptocurrencies. Listen, I'm not like that. I want to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. This is a example of one of our most basic strategies we teach, something that you really could learn in a couple of weeks. It's one trade a week. It's on the S&P 500, and it takes about 15 minutes to trade it. If you started with a $5,000 account back in 2006, over the course of about 6.5 years, that $5,000 account would have profited $17,000. Now, you can trade larger accounts too. The percentages would still be the same. It's averaging about 4.5% per month. Now, the one thing I want to point out, I want you to keep in mind, it doesn't always just go straight up. This is what a real trading strategy does. You're going to have periods where the system's doing great. Then you're going to have periods where you're going to have a little bit of drawdown, and it's going to go back up a little bit more. But what's happening is, over the long haul, you're getting sustained growth, even after those periods of drawdown and sideways. If anybody ever comes to you and says, hey, this is what our trading strategy does, like that, run. It's mathematically impossible. You're going to have drawdown. You're going to have periods where the system is not making 4% per month, but then you're going to have situations where the system's making 5-6% per month. Just last week alone on my S&P trades, I made 4.5%. So this is what a real system looks like. There's going to be periods where it goes sideways or pulls back, but the account continues to grow over time. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you today, and we're going to talk about a few of them. And they're real people just like you. So as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay attention, because you might find yourself in a similar position now as they were when they started. Now, my name is Ron Wheeler. I'm the options income coach here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 26 years, if my math is correct. I started in 1997. Now, when I first started, my first couple of years of trading, I didn't really have a lot of success. Like a lot of people, it's not rare, right? Because to be a successful trader, you have to know two things. Number one, you have to know how to figure out which way the market's going to go. Whatever market you're trading, doesn't matter what you're trading. I happen to trade commodities at the time and futures contracts. Once you learn market direction, you have to learn money management, right? Well, you got to make sure that even if you're 60% right, you can't have a winning trade of 100 and a losing trade of 1,000. It's not going to work. So you got to juggle those things, and that's not easy. Well, I was never really an options guy. I traded commodities and futures, like I said. Options to me were kind of like, I really don't like them. All I knew about options is I could make a trade on a market that I think would go up or down, and if I bought the wrong option, I wouldn't make any money or I wouldn't make a lot of money. That to me added another layer of why do it then? It doesn't make any sense. Just buy the market, sell the market, whatever you're trading. Well, my opinion of option changed probably about 5 or 6 years into my trading career. One of my clients actually, at the time, we were teaching technical analysis. He came to our office to visit. He was in the area. And he's like, Ron, I know I talked to you and you don't like options, but let me explain to you what I do with options. He was actually a hedge fund trader in the Midwest. And he's like, I'm going to show you kind of what the institutions do, what we do with options. We are option sellers. And by selling options, what I can do is I can create trade scenarios where you as a buyer would lose and I win. I take direction out of the equation a little bit. He's like, and the next best thing, what you talk about risk, we can control the risk right from the start of the trade. Think of how much that takes off of you as a trader, right? You're taking away direction. You're giving yourself a chance to win even if you're wrong. And in the trade, the risk can be managed right up front. You know your maximum risk, your maximum gain. It's a lot easier. So I started dabbling with options at that point. Never really was interested all the way in options. I thought it was pretty cool. But over the course of time, as I decided I didn't want to be a day trader anymore, I started looking more heavily into options. And sometime about, I would say 12 to 15 years ago at this point, it's been a while, I really started doing more and more options trades. So in the last decade or so, I've been doing options trades pretty much 99% of what I do now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take you on a journey today. I'm going to show you how the system that I eventually transition to works, how I generate these types of returns. I'm going to give you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. I'm going to show you the system. So if you learn and follow strategy, you can do the same. I'm going to prove to you that our options page system will get better returns safer than trading stocks and options alone. And the reason why this is so good is because you don't have to learn any fancy indicators. Everything with options is mathematical, it's statistical, it's a true, false, yes, no. You don't have to interpret. We can break this down into an easy to follow checklist. That's why options trading and option selling is so beneficial. Now, I want you to stick it to the end because I put together a checklist to help you plan out the trade. It's a PDF. I'll put it right in the handout section of the webinar. Drop it right in there. Click on it, print it out, but remind me when we get to the Q&A section because a lot of times I forget after we do this for about 45 minutes to an hour, okay? All right, why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If you're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether you're going to have enough or if you're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on your life, your health, your relationship. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices have risen so much. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You're going to get behind on your goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. However, when you have a system that helps you generate income, things are different. And I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar. So pay attention and write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, your main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say this again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life's going to change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap, essentially. You could turn on whenever you want. That's going to let you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. So as I said before, this is one of the most important points of the presentation. I'm going to say this one more time. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, we become financially free and have the ability to retire. Now, for example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't have a lot to invest to start. Brian said he had some health problems and he needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit with just $6,000. He achieved a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months. He had 31 of 31 winners using our most basic system. And the key point here is it's simple. It's not beginner's luck. It was the result of following a system. The same system. The system is what helped Brian get those 31 of 31 winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit. Did it in 10 months. And it's safe. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month. It's going to allow you to win even when you're wrong. The reason you want to be the casino or the house is that the house always wins. Number two, why does the house always win? It's because they stack and control probability. They remove all the edges that you may have as a gambler. The paycheck system is built around the same idea, stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of that. In order to control your returns and results, you need to learn how to stack probability in your favor. And the first step of that is by shifting from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker. He focused on our SPX income system. Remember the results I showed you earlier? That system. It's our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock that you like, you think it's going to go up, so you can either buy shares of the stock or you might buy a call option. Why? Because a call option gives you the right to buy a stock. If the stock goes up, your option increases in value. It's the most basic options trade you can make. It's what a beginner's always taught to do. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, it doesn't go up enough, and the call that you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Well, yes. What's the problem that's causing you to lose? Now, most feel that maybe they just picked the wrong stock. And that's, hey, we all have that mistake sometimes, right? We pick direction wrong. But maybe if the options world, they picked the wrong strike, or maybe it was the wrong option expiration. Well, let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. That's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. That's how you get ahead of everyone else. That's how you put probability on your side. This is how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade would give you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy something, the only way you make money is if the stock actually moves in your direction. So instead of having that buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of just hoping the stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Now, probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So you've got a stock at $204 a share, and as long as it stays above 195, you can win. You can make money now. So think about that. You can pick a price down there, and as long as the stock stays above that, you make money. If the stock goes up, you make money. If it goes sideways, you still make money. And if it comes down a little bit, you can still make money. Right from the very beginning, we're setting probability in our favor. And you can even increase that probability even more in some cases. You can choose a lower price, and that's going to give you a bigger area where you can be right. A lot of our trades start off with about a 70% chance of success. And you can only do this as an option seller. Think about that. When you buy this stock, it's got to go above 204. When we sell an option, all it's got to do now is stay above 190, and you make money. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor right off the start, and this is why we call this an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Now, you remember Bruce? He continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he recently posted in our private Facebook group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike's another one of our clients, and he is someone who dabbled with options but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating it is to lose on every trade? Eventually, he stopped doing it. He gave it up. He went back to the books to learn more and more about options, and he got a lot of options knowledge, but he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He had all this knowledge, but no set criteria of what to do. So he and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system, becoming an option seller, and he basically flipped the switch. He became like an income machine. After learning the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of 12 grand in 4 months. Now, the key lesson is going from buyer or gambler to the seller or the house, and that turned his situation around immediately. He was so proud of his success, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. So take a look at the profit column. That's the winners. Over here's the losers. Look at how many more winners there are than losers. And then look at the number of days to close. It's about 7 to 10 days. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. That's typical. And he was concentrating again, and a lot of our students start by just trading the S&P 500 index. That involves only one trade per week, and again, has averaged about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. We're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. This is the way you really make money as a trader. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the takeaway here. Home runs might look good, but singles are what win the games. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and to be able to do the things you want to do. Now, you've seen by flipping from the buyer to the seller, you can now start to stack the odds in your favor. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to continue to stack the odds in our favor. And that's kind of like the catchphrase, if you will, of the whole options paycheck mentality. Everything we do is about stacking probability more in your favor. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some mistakes that buyers make of options and how we as sellers will capitalize on that and continue to stack odds in our favor. Well, the first mistake that a lot of option buyers make is they choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has very little chance of hitting it. Let me explain. This is a stock. Now, let's say someone was bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy options with strike prices way above the stock. Why do they do this? If you do an option relatively correctly, you should be matching the strike price up with the stock price. The problem with that is it's expensive. It might cost you $1,000 or $2,000 to buy an option. So what buyers do is they say, okay, well, I'll just buy one way out here at $230 and it's only going to cost me $100. Great. The problem is you're not going to make any money unless the stock goes up $15 a share. That's ridiculous. The option buyer is treating this like a lottery ticket, but it's only going to cost me $50, Ron. No big deal. If I lose, it's not a big deal. Well, that's what's going to happen. Most of the time, they end up losing. Now, listen, there's always going to be option buyers out there who buy these options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when they buy these options that have a very low probability of working, it gives me a very high probability of winning or working. Now, the same goes for when people think the stock is going to go down. They go out there and they buy these puts way underneath the market, right? Stock's at 217. They think the stock's going to go down. They buy a $200 put because it's cheap. But you're not going to make any money unless the stock goes down $17 a share. But it only cost me $50, Ron. I only got a hit on one, right? That's the lottery mentality. That's that lottery mentality. That's not a way to create income. Now, there's also people that buy puts down there to protect their stock positions. That's actually not a bad reason to do it. Well, it doesn't really make a difference. Since there's always people out there buying these options, we are going to be the one who facilitates that by selling it to them, because that gives us a 60 to 90% chance of success. Now, the second mistake a lot of buyers make is they choose expirations that are just too close to the current date. It's like if you go to a grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack, it's cheap, but it will be worthless very soon. And that same is true for options. Here you see how option time value decays over time. So what happens here is up in the upper left-hand corner, we're about 6 months to expiration. We go all the way down to about 45 days to expiration. The option has lost about half of its value. It took about 135 days. But as you can see, in the final 45 days, that option loses the remaining 50%. The decay has accelerated in the final 45 days. A lot of option buyers, this is where they like to buy their options, because guess what? The premiums are a lot more inexpensive. But again, it's like buying a lottery ticket. You're stacking probability against you as a buyer. So what I'm going to do is stack probability in my favor by selling in that window. Okay? Now, to be more specific, we're going to sell options that are 21 to 45 days away. That's really the sweet spot. That's going to give us an average length of trade of about 7 to 10 days. Okay? That's that sweet spot we're looking for. And just to kind of give you a picture of why this works this way, this is Home Depot. Most buyers are going to go out there and they'll buy an option. They think Home Depot is going to go up. They go out 40 days and they buy an option. Well, the problem is, even if the stock goes up, the time value of that option is decaying rapidly. So they might be making a little bit as the stock goes up, but then that time decay comes in there and rips all their profits away. That's bad for an option buyer. But we're not going to do that. We're going to be the option seller. That time decay works in my favor. Again, remember this. There's always going to be people out there buying options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino. You're going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top and I want you to notice both stocks are around the same price. They're about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, look at the difference in option prices. Over on the left, you've got a $910 option, and over on the right, it's $180. Why are they so different? Same strike price, same stock price, same expiration. Well, the option on the left has extremely high volatility. And when that volatility is very, very high, the option becomes overpriced. Buyers who buy those options are paying too much. Now, what's the big deal, right? Who cares? It's only money. Well, watch what happens when a buyer buys an option that is overpriced, like the one on the left. Both stocks go up $8 per share. They go from $76 to $84. Let's see what happens to the value of the option. Even though both stocks rose, the overpriced option on the left actually lost money. Think about that. The option buyer got direction right, but still lost. Whereas the guy on the right, he had an almost 400% return on his trade. Why did the guy on the left lose? Because they paid too much for the option. They didn't pay attention to that volatility. Now, like all buying mistakes, we as sellers are going to capitalize on this. I'm going to search out those high volatility options and I'm going to sell them. Because when I do, it's going to give me even more probability and it's going to actually reduce how much I can lose on the trade. It's a much better situation. You're stacking probability even more. We can be even more wrong on the trade, if you will, by being the seller of a high volatility option. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times, in his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack his risk. In 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and results, gotta know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, let me ask you a question in the chat. Do me a favor. If you've ever made one of these mistakes, let me know. Have you ever made one of these option buyers mistakes? Just type a yes or no in the chat. All right, I see lots of yeses. Yep. David, Jose, Gene, Lee, Tom. Yeah, we've all made those mistakes. Let's be honest, right? Remember in the early stage, I told you I really wasn't a big options fan because I was making all these mistakes too. Listen, it's not our fault. We were just taught either incorrectly, we didn't learn properly, or we were taught a broken system. Now, let's kind of move again. You want to know at this point, hopefully you kind of see the value of being an option seller. So let's look at how to trade with very little risk. Because when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they immediately think risky. Everybody's got that horror story that they might have heard about. You know, Ron, I had a friend that did this. He made money for 7 months. Then all of a sudden he had one bad trade and wiped out all his winners. This is why reducing risk is important. It's why this is one of the strategies we actually teach retirees. It's not because it's risky, it's because it's safe. If you're not using the options paycheck system, you're probably not preserving your capital properly. One bad trade can, in fact, wipe out the gains from a bunch of winners. But this is really easy to avoid. I've never had this happen to me as an option seller. And it's not because I'm some fantastic, awesome trader, best on earth. I like to think I'm pretty good at this after 27 years or so. But the reason why this has never happened to me as an option seller, it doesn't need to. If you remember all the way in the beginning, what did I tell you about when I was introduced into option selling? Ron, one of the great things about this is you know your risk up front. If I look at a trade and the risk on that trade is I'm going to lose 8 or 9 winners if it goes against me, I just don't take the trade. It's as simple as that. I'm looking for trades that have the right balance of risk and reward. One of the key principles of this, by the way, is having those high volatility overpriced options. If this happens to you, guess what? It becomes very hard to recover your losses. It takes a long time to recover. It's a big uphill climb. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have built-in protection. You're going to take care of risk management even before you open the trade. When you can confidently select the stocks and set your trades up in a way that reduces risk, it's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, Home runs look good, but singles are what win the game. Now, one of the most common questions we get asked is, can I trade options from my IRA? And it's a good question. I actually do this in an IRA as well. A client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our paycheck system. He said he had tried and struggled with some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed an 85% winning trade rate and said he more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, our options paycheck system makes sure that you are reducing your risk before you even open the trade. First, we are going to make sure we're choosing stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, very similar to what you would see here. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here, okay? The paycheck system is going to reduce your risk to this. So I want to show you how this works. Now again, this is a graph, a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, and it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now traditionally, people would buy the stock here, okay? They may even buy a call using that as a strike price. But remember, we're not the buyer anymore. You're the seller. So here's what you're going to do. You are going to go underneath the stock price and you are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell that put, you're going to get paid. You're going to receive payment. In this case, $200. If you sold 10 contracts of this option, you're going to collect $2,000. Now, a lot of people have never done this before. They're thinking, okay, great, cool, I just made $2,000, right? Well, it's not exactly like that. When you sell an option, I want you to think of this as not like selling a car where you just sign the title over and you're done. Selling an option is an option contract. You're writing a promise to do something. Selling an option is very similar to insurance that you pay for like your car or your house. Every month, every 6 months, however you pay your insurance, you send money to an insurance company. You're buying a premium from them. They're selling you insurance, right? If everything works out and you don't have any accidents or claims, they keep the premium, your policy expires, rinse and repeat. You keep doing this over and over again. When you sell a put, you are giving somebody a contract that says, hey, if you want me to, I will buy the stock at $135. Now, the problem with that is, what happens if a disaster strikes and the stock goes down $35 a share? You may be stuck with that obligation to buy the stock from them for $135. It's called getting put to the stock, right? You got a stock that's trading at $100. Now you own it at $135, and you just had one trade that wiped out all your gains. Well, there's a couple solutions for this. Number one, we are going to limit the risk again to this. All right? What we're going to do at the same time that we sell the put, we are going to buy a put as insurance. Now, what that does is it locks the risk in like this. Now, that insurance policy costs us some money, right? It's $100. So, in the same transaction, I sell an option for $200, I buy an option for $100, and I get paid $100 to place the trade. Now, let me explain to you the absolute worst thing that could happen. Let's say the stock drops to $100. You get put to the stock at $135. Well, that option that you bought at $130 allows you to sell the stock to somebody else for $130. You have a loss of $5. Now, here's the thing I want to tell you about. This has never happened to me. In my 15 plus years of selling options, I've never had this happen. It's not going to happen because we're not going to let it happen. We're going to make sure we exit the trade way before that would happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, people often tell me, well, Ron, if that's never happened to you before, then why would you even buy the insurance to begin with? We buy the insurance for a couple reasons. Same reason I buy insurance on my house. I hope nothing happens, but just in case it does, I'm protected. That insurance also reduces the amount it's going to cost you to place the trade, the margin requirements. It's going to make the trade safer. It's going to protect you when the stock goes down the wrong way. It's going to offer you some loss mitigation. It's going to protect you from volatility. There's a ton of reasons why we buy that insurance leg. It's important. Even though the whole idea of the stock getting put to you in stock transactions never happens, we still like to do it. Okay? Now, if I took that trade on 10 contracts, I would get paid $1,000. Now, this is a trade. You're selling an option spread, but it's just like if you buy a stock, right? If you buy a stock for $100 a share and it goes up in value, you can turn around and sell that stock and lock in your profits. So same thing here. If the stock goes up, we're going to make money on this position. We sold it for $1,000. We can go out later on and find somebody to buy it off us for less money. If the stock goes sideways, we sold it for $1,000. The time decay that I showed you earlier that ticks lower and lower and gets faster and faster, that allows our trade to become profitable. We can make money. Now, as long as it stays above 135, we are going to still have the opportunity to make money. Okay? That's the beauty of this. Now, if it drops below 135, we are going to exit the trade. A lot of people say, well, Ron, how do you never have to perform the stock transaction? This is why. Just like any other trade that you do, we're going to have a stop in place. If the stock goes too low, we are going to exit the trade. No different than if you bought 1,000 shares of IBM and it goes down too low, you go out there and sell it. We're going to do the same thing with the option spread. And we're going to take a small proportional loss when we're wrong. So let's do this. I want to set up a couple of trades with you. Okay? Now, keep in mind, these are trades I did in the last couple of months. When the market is bullish, we are going to place a bullish income trade. So, this is a trade that I took back in June. Look at how beautiful this stock is, right? This is Pulte. Everything about this graph says be bullish. Well, I was very bullish at the time. So here's what I did. I go out there and I want to sell an option that is 21 to 45 days away. And I've got to go out there and select a strike price to sell. Now, here's the kicker. When you look at strike prices in the options world, all the brokers out there either have probability directly inputted on their option, or the option broker has a calculator for probability. So I can go out there and look and say, all right, I see 3 option strikes. I see this stock, by the way, is $76. If I sell a $75 option, I have a 56% chance of staying above that. Stock is 76. If it goes up, I make money. If it goes sideways, I make money. As long as it doesn't go below $75, which is about a $1 buffer, I can make money. Or B, $73, I have a 73% chance of staying above that. That means the trade has a 73% chance of success. Or down C, I have a 91% chance of staying above 70. So right off the bat, I can create a trade that's got a 56% chance of success, a 73% chance of success, or a 91% chance of success. And remember, that success is based on the stock. All it has to do for the next, really, 2 weeks, essentially, is stay above either this price. Oops, my cursor's red. Let me change that to a color that we can all see. It has to stay above this. It's still black. In color, red. Bear with me a second. Foul. There we go. So all it's got to do is either stay above this guy, or all the way down here. Now, let me ask you a question. Knowing nothing about options, knowing nothing about trading, if I gave you the opportunity to be 56% right, 73% right, or 91% right, which would you rather be? Be honest. 56, 73, or 91. Knowing nothing else about trading, nothing else about options, just knowing that I could be 91% right, 73% right, or 56% right. Which would you rather be? All right, David, you were first, 91%. And I see a lot of other 91%. That's the right answer, by the way. Why wouldn't you want to be 91% right? We all would, right? But here's the caveat. What happens if on every winning trade at 91%, you make $100? Okay, that sounds good. But every losing trade, let's say you lose $1,500. Well, that's a problem. Because even if you're 90% right, you're going to turn around and be a loser. Okay? That's not good. Now, what happens is this has too much probability, and that's going to skew the risk reward. As much as I'd like to be 91% right, I just can't do it. The market doesn't give me enough risk reward to make that happen. Well, right around 60 to 70%, this is where it all kind of starts making sense. These are the trades where at 73%, we can go out there and say, all right, now our average winner might be $200, and maybe our average loser might be $225. Your average loser is always going to be right around your average winner, or even sometimes a little bit more, and that's fine because you're trading with a higher probability of success. So right in that 60 to 70% range, this is where we want to be placing our trades. Now, that's where I did it, right at 73%. So what this trade was done, it's called a bull put spread. I sell a $73 put, and I simultaneously buy the $70 put. Okay? And what that means is simple. Here's where the stock is currently. If the stock goes up, I make money. If the stock goes sideways, I make money. And as long as we stay above $73, I can still make money. And if it goes below 73, I exit the trade and I take a small proportional loss. Now, this average trade takes about 7 to 10 days to work. It's not always going to take 7 to 10 days, but in this case, it took 3 days. The stock went up, kept going up, shot up, and I was able to exit that trade with $876.18 in profit. That includes commission, by the way. That's why it's a weird number. And I was able to get out of that trade. Okay? Now, what happens when the stock market or the market becomes bearish? Well, what we do is we flip the script and we place bearish trades. For example, Target. Target's been beaten down a lot this year. Okay? So I like Target. This happened to be in May. It had just broken a previous low, this guy right about here, and it looked like it was heading down much, much lower. So let's zoom in a little bit here. You win if Target stays below the strike price that we pick prior to expiration. Remember, we're selling an option that's about 21 to 45 days away. That's going to give me a 7 to 10 day trade range, sometimes quicker, but typically 7 to 10 days. I go out to my option chainer, my probability calculator, my option software. I see I can trade 135, and it gives me a 64% chance. I can trade at 140, giving me a 76% chance. I can trade at 145, and that would give me an 85% chance of success. Well, let me ask you a question. Knowing what you know now about probability and knowing what you know now a little bit more about risk reward, take a guess. Throw in the chat box, which option would you sell? Would it be A, B, or C? Now that you know that, a little bit too much probability is going to throw off the risk reward. Which one would you pick? All right, I see lots of B's in there right at 76%. And you're right. We're going to sell that option at 76%. Now, to be clear, if you would have answered B or C, each of these would have been perfect. I don't have a problem selling a 64% option. That's a good one too. Anything that gives me better than a 60% chance of winning, I'm happy with. But here's what I do. I sell the option which gives me the most chance of success,
without skewing that risk to reward. Now, in the case of Target, I was able to actually jump up to that 76% option because the options were very expensive. That overpriced option, I was able to increase my probability even more. Now, this trade is called a bear call spread. I sell a 140 call, I simultaneously buy a 145. Okay? Now, as long as the stock stays below $140 a share, I make money. Now, in this particular case, this trade was a little bit more normal. The stock, let's be honest, it didn't really go down very much. It was trading at about 130 and change. Over the course of 7 days, it only went down to like 127. So it didn't go down a ton, but it doesn't matter because the stock went down, the options started losing their value, and in 7 days, I was able to make about 765 bucks. And by the way, that's my typical winning trade. My typical winning trade is right around $800. Okay? My typical losing trade, right around $800. So I win as much as I lose in my trades while maintaining a greater than 60% probability. And that's the key. We're controlling the risk and we're stacking the odds of success in our favor. Now, like I said, a lot of times we can do it 70%, but either way, we're stacking probability, we're managing our risk. Okay? Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt very unsatisfied. He kept thinking there's something had to be better out there that he was missing. You ever felt that way, that there's something out there you're missing? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income at a higher probability of success. After learning the system, becoming an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to be going from inconsistent to where all of your trades are generating income? Now, you've seen a lot of stories. You've seen some results. What about you? What if you were able to take the system like Jim did, like Bob did, like Bruce, like Brian, any of those traders? What would you be able to do in your life if you were able to implement an income system like that? Do me a favor, throw me some answers in the chat. What would it be able to do in your life if you were able to do that? What could you do better? First one, retire earlier. So for those of you that aren't retired, it can allow you to retire earlier. Save more for retirement. David, save more for retirement. Exactly. It will allow you to save more for retirement. Pay off bills. Pay your kids' student loans off. If you could implement this. Now, it all comes back to the idea of, do you want to be the casino or do you want to become the house? Because the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income. Now, let's put this together. We're going to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented this system have told me this is one of the most important things they learn. Now, why is this important? One of the biggest things people ask me is, how much time is this going to take me? And that's a great question, but here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to be able to find how to pick the right stock, the right strategy, when you get in, what expiration, the price, what if it goes against you, all that stuff. And a lot of people feel like it's trying to find a needle in a haystack. There's so much information out there, you don't know where to look. You can spend hours researching trades or going from guru to guru. Just don't go to Instagram and TikTok for your stock trading tips. Without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like a mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. What you want is reliable returns fast. And with the right system, you can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day. But you need a good system, and not just any system, a straight line system that tells you when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the piece of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. It's like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces. The top 5 build on each other, and the 6 kind of ties them all together. So at the top of the system is market direction. Now, a lot of traders ignore this and they just go out and start placing trades. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, and you have to have a way to know the market direction. Now, by doing this, you're going to be focusing on one scenario at a time, bullish or bearish. Now, the paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use to tell us the market direction. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction of the market. Just trading the stocks you know or listening to the gurus on TV, this is not the best choice. What you want to do is find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market is falling. Now, we save time in two ways. We look at two main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest platform, which we use that helps us get results quicker instead of digging through data that the institutions throw at you. Now you got your list of stocks. You need to find a way to select the best one for option trading. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on the price. Well, we're not done there. We do focus on selling options with the highest levels of volatility. But to take more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings. You ever see what earnings can do to a stock? It can send it in random directions for no reason. Okay? We also make sure we're using the right expiration date in that sweet spot to make sure we're getting the time decay to work for us. Now, we can use tools from a broker to help. We also use a proprietary search tool that helps me find these candidates very, very quickly. Next is time to set up your trade. We pick the one that has the highest probability of success based on the strike prices that we sell. However, we also have to keep in mind that risk to reward. We don't want to sell a strike that has too much probability because the risk will be too high. We have to keep this balanced. Okay? After this, we have to look at our trade management. Now notice, we haven't placed the trade yet. We're not there. We need to first know what to do if a trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predetermined levels. You can set these up in advance with your broker. And if a trade goes against you, we have a simple adjustment strategy that brings even more income that can minimize your losses. We also know when to exit a trade, and in some brokers, you can actually set that up in advance, so it happens near automatically and unemotionally. And last, you want a way to do this quick. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something comfortable that you like to use. Now, some brokers have great tools out there. Thinkorswim, which I use, has great tools for this. IB has good tools. Fidelity, Schwab, they all have good tools. Some people find paid tools to be more effective. We use VectorVest to find the stocks. We use Options Pro to put the options trades together. It just saves a lot of time. Now, speaking of time, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting those results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he sought the proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have that work-life balance. Are you like that? Do you spend too much time on things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. Now, I've got a little exercise for you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're really good. For example, if you already have a good way to pick stocks that are likely to go in the direction of the market, then put a little star there. But if there's an area where you need work or you've never done it before, put a little frowny face there. So if you've never traded options before, anything from option selection down, you probably have to put a frowny face. Maybe you've traded options before, but you're not sure how to set up a spread. Put a little frowny face in trade setup. Don't overthink this. I want you to take about 10 seconds, give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Do me a favor, in the chat window, what areas do you need to specifically work on? What areas have you found that you need to specifically work on? All right, I see never traded options before. That's the first one that came. So, okay, option selection down. That's okay, by the way. I like to work with new traders because I can, try to teach you from the ground floor of what to do properly so you don't have to worry about it. That way you don't make those same mistakes. Okay? Strike prices, find stock, all of them, David. Lewis, option selection down. All right. Now, the whole purpose of this exercise is very simple. I simply just want you to find and see where your weaknesses are. That's my goal. I just want you to know where your weaknesses are. Now, the ultimate goal here is to get check marks all the way down, because when you do, you will be on your path to learning to generate income. Now, listen, I don't know the exact reason you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping from one wall into the next. And that's left you with inconsistent results, making some money back, but then giving it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim told me his problems were before he learned the paycheck system. Maybe you're just suffering through loss after loss and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today I showed you the secrets to fixing that. And it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. And now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. That you can do it with very little risk. It's even less riskier than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system to help generate consistent income. I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement ever again. You saw over and over the secret to generating your consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows that secret. That means there's going to be 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options and making all the mistakes we talked about. Can't stop them. There's always going to be those investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as they're there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Just like you saw Brian do. Like you saw Bruce. Like Bob. Like Jim. Like Hugh. And like John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, how do I implement this paycheck system in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1 is to choose to do nothing. You can stay where you are right now. And if you've already have enough money to retire, you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the paycheck system. But if you would like to try to make some extra money every month, then that leaves you with 2 other options. Option 2, you can do it alone. You can try to learn how option trades work, figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze the stocks, hope you pick the right one, put the trade together, learn by trial and error. If you do a lot of hard work, you might be able to pull it off. But option 3 is simple. Let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the paycheck system in just a few weeks. You're going to have that simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. Now, those 3 options, ask yourself, what's going to be easier? There's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their goals, but they never take action or do anything to make it happen. The second person is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see that opportunity in front of you. Now, since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number 2, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The options paycheck experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using options, even if you've never traded options before. The paycheck experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. It shows you exactly how to find, set up, and manage your option spreads that help you generate income, and it's going to show you how to do it safer and consistently in any type of market, so you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all of the fancy terms, so you no longer have a fear of options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or bearish trade and when to place no trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your option trades using a rules-based approach, which frees up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up income trades that in some cases give you a 70% success rate. Again, even if you've never done this before. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trade so you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. We're going to show you how to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, whether you've done this before or it's your first trade. You're going to learn to implement a system that allows you to safely and consistently generate income so you can begin to live the lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now, the course is 8 modules long, and we made it so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is that system for consistent income. The first two modules are what we call the options income foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base that portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. And we understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome of module one is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently select them in your trades. You'll know which terms to pay attention to, which things to avoid. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In module two, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with confidence to start building that income system around these powerful trades. Now that you got that solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out the step-by-step system to placing the income trades to generate those paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and reduces risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. You're going to get complete clarity here on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, we're going to narrow our focus. You'll know whether to place bullish trades or bearish trades and even when not to trade. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. Now, the outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that are going to give you the highest probability of success. Now that you got your list of stocks, it's time to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using rules in this module, you're going to make sure that you're getting paid top dollar for your trade. You're going to make it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to stack probability, continue to reduce risk in module 6 by the way you set up your trade. You're going to make sure that your trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward. And most importantly, you are going to know exactly where to sell the option and exactly where to place your insurance strike. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because you set them up correctly right from the start. Now that you got your trade picked out, strikes picked, you're ready to go. Module 7, you're going to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You will never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you're going to know how to react, and that's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you got the best stock, you got your low risk, high probability trade, it's all mapped out. Now it's time for them and the management game plans in place. Now it's time to place the trade with a broker. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you will commit to muscle memory in no time. We've put everything you need to do in a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When someone's first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket in place. That way you make sure that you did everything right. Plus, placing trades with your broker could be intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we even put together click-by-click directions for the most popular broker, which is Thinkorswim. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, I want to make it even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just let us know within a week of the end of the course, and you can get your money back. It's no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes. You can do it live, or you can watch our recordings. It doesn't matter. We want you to watch the classes, do the assignments, because we know if you do, you're going to see results. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, do the assignments, because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for that refund. And the reason why I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to attract those who are incredibly excited to jump in, do the work, get the results. I want to attract those serious investors. And in order to do that, when I make a really tight refund policy like this, I only attract those people who are serious about getting those results. And when you do this, you're learning a system that can average 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I received this email from a client who took the course. Joe, Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade so far. I've profited on 239 of the 350 trades I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over 100,000 in that time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown into taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2-to-1 or better risk-reward. Thank you again for teaching this very simple but effective system. You know, that's awesome. If I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for his two, do you think he'd take that trade? Would you? Now I'm making you an even better offer than you're going to see here soon. But before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you can't commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we've got a couple of bonuses for you as well. Now, the first bonus is what we call the Mastery Package. The way the course is structured, there are 8 modules. All those modules are available for you to watch right off the start. You watch those recorded. Then every week through November, we get together twice a week for what we call a mastery session. We're going to cover 2 modules a week, get together live, just to make sure that you're doing the modules, make sure you have any questions that we can answer, we'll do some live walkthroughs, just making sure that you have no questions and you're ready to continue to move on. At the end of the week on Friday, we have a weekly Q&A. Again, just another session for you to jump in on and ask questions and make sure that we're all moving towards our end goal. You can attend these live if you want to. You can watch the recordings of them after we do the live session. It's completely up to you. We also give you a private dedicated email that you can send. That way you're going right to the Options Paycheck team and you can get an answer relatively quick. We're also going to give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro during the live curriculum, which is November and December. So you're going to have almost 2 months of access to our tools. That way you can test drive them. If you like them, great. You can continue if you want. We'll talk about the things after the class. If you don't like them and just want to use your broker, that's fine too. Okay? Now, our goal is to get you ready to place your trades in the shortest time possible. And to do that, in the second month of the course in December, we are going to be an implementation month. You're going to be invited to my 2 live trading sessions a week on Monday, where I place SPX trades and I place stock trades. If you can't watch the live sessions, no worries. We record those too. You can watch them after the fact, not a big deal. Then we're going to have 2 live office hour sessions during the week. One after the market closes, that's going to help you learn how to place trades at night for the next day, and one during the day on Friday. You're going to be able to constantly see the repetition of us placing and implementing the system. That's 12 total sessions. Okay? We're going to show you how to implement this. Another bonus is to show you the SPX paycheck system. This is a 1 trade a week system, which over the course of the last 7.5 years has generated about 4% per month. It's 1 simple trade a week. This is what a lot of people do when they first start. They use the SPX system. It's simple, it's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do these trades. For a lot of people, this is the only trade they take. So as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete Options Paycheck training program that's got the 8 training modules, the quizzes, the cheat sheets, the checklist, the videos, and everything. The Mastery bonus package, the implementation month, that SPX package. All total, about a $5,400 value. So here's the opportunity. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. So if you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options. We're going to do this. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand, help you install an option income system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5 grand, the early bird price of the course is only $12.95. Now, to make it easier, we do have a 3 payment option if you want. You start today with $4.95 and there's 2 more monthly installments. But since you spent about an hour with me, here's what I want to do just for those of you live. If you order before the end of the webinar today, then instead of paying $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to all the materials, 2 months access to VectorVest and Options Pro, everything we talked about for $9.95. Now that $9.95 price is only for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish, price goes back to $12.95. So if you're ready and you know this is for you, all you got to do is go to www.optionspaycheck.com and get yourself registered. And then ask yourself, how much is it costing you not to do this? How much money will you lose out by trying to do this by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do it on your own? And then ask yourself, how would things be different if you implemented this and it actually worked? There's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you could be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. You know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for a secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back where you squandered an opportunity to start creating a constant income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision that you make. Don't miss the opportunity. I look forward to working with you in our class. So again, just go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. The price is $9.95. That's our lowest price for anybody that's never taken the class before. After the webinar, it goes back to $12.95. I want you to wait. Don't miss out on the bonus. Now, before we break into the Q&A, I got a couple things I want to cover real quick. This is one of the common questions is, Ron, you said it's a live class and it's recorded. What do you mean? Well, where are the live sessions? What happens if I miss one? Well, here's our schedule. The class kicks off next Tuesday at 4:30 with our welcome session. Okay? After that, you're going to see Mastery Session 1 and Mastery Session 2 on Wednesday and Thursday. So if you sign up for the course today, we're going to open up the course to you. You're going to be able to actually go out there and watch Mastery Session 1 and Mastery Session 2. Or I'm sorry, Modules 1 and Modules 2. That way you're ready for next week to do the Mastery Sessions. We recommend you do 2 sessions a week. Keep kind of with the flow. That way you're not trying to overburden yourself. During November, we have 3 live classes a week, and there's our schedule. 4:30s on Tuesdays and Thursdays, except for the first week, and then noon on Fridays. Those are all Eastern time. If you can make these sessions, great. If you can't, not a huge deal. You can watch the recordings. We record everything. You can send us questions and say, Ron, can you talk about this in the mastery session? We'll do it for you. So November is all about the learning. December is all about the implementing. Mondays, we do our live trades. 11 a.m. for S&P and 2 p.m. for stocks. We're going to do that throughout the entire month, except for the last week, which is Christmas. And then we're going to have a Wednesday after hours at 4:30 office hour session, and then Friday at noon. This is designed to help you continuously implement. We're going to keep looking for trades, answer questions, whatever you need through the month of November or through the month of December. We want to make sure you're ready to implement and actually doing this. You can join my trades if you want to. You can find your own trades. We can talk about them. Just a way for us to get together while you're implementing it for the first time. One of our clients, Greg, he said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I would lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take this course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Another question we get is how much options experience do you need? And I saw a couple of you that are beginners. We send out a survey to all of our attendees who take the course, and 85% of them said that you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. You might have to watch modules 1 and 2 a little bit more, maybe 2 or 3 times to get the idea. Ask us questions, that's what we're here for. But the vast majority of our attendees said you can be successful with this, even if you've never done options. This is just a few more of the folks that have sent messages to us about how happy they were. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the trades I'm doing. Cam, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. So again, take advantage of that bonus. It's $9.95. We've got about 15 minutes left on that special. We're going to do a Q&A. If you have any questions, please let me know. But get in there. Go to optionspaycheck.com. Get yourself registered. You can also call our office, 888-658-7638. Just get in there. And by the way, if you're signing up, let us know. Just give us a quick shout out in the chat box. Say, I'm in. A couple more of our recent students have said in their last surveys, Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course. Where within a short period of time, you opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 trades. David, The options paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended in all my years with VectorVest. It's 99. You've eliminated my fear of options trading. The manner in which you present the material is outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all of my email questions above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, and that made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, get yourself out there, get to optionspaycheck.com, take advantage of the bonus price. It only lasts for probably another 15 minutes or so. If you have any questions, now's the time. I'm going to bring in my colleague Brian, and we are going to talk about questions that you might have.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
All right, great session. So those of you who are signed up, you will have already received an email. And like Ron said, you have access already to the course. So hop in there and get that email, open it up. If you see it in your junk or your spam folder, just drag it to your inbox. But that email will have all the dates, the times, the directions to get to the course. And you could start hopping in there now, spend the rest of this week or sometime this weekend watching some of the videos and maybe even jumping ahead to the S&P bonus, because that you can get through in about an hour or so. And maybe you could start placing some of those trades next week if you wanted to. But that email is in your inbox. I do see a question in the chat about pricing, so I'll grab that and then I'll ask Ron you all the trading questions. So I'll head that over in just a second. So there's a gentleman in the chat box who is an elite member with VectorVest. So that's awesome. So thanks for being an elite member. As an elite member, you can get the price of $9.95 whenever you want. Right? What we've done here is drop the price for only the next 15 minutes to basically the elite price for everybody. But they're only non-elite members can get the $9.95 price now. But that goes away in 15 minutes. It'll go to $12.95. But if you're an elite member with VectorVest, you get it for $9.95 all the way up until registration closes. There's a couple of other ones that I believe Ron mentioned. If you already took the class, let's say a year or two ago, and you just want a refresher, there is a refresher rate of $4.95. We would have sent you an email with a link in it for that, or you could just call the phone number there on the screen. And there's some of you in the chat who have just finished up with Ron's S&P Income Challenge, which is awesome. So thank you for doing that with Ron. You get a discount. It's down to $7.95. Again, we would have sent you a private email with a link for you, but you could call the phone number on the screen as well. But the $9.95 price is a great price, and you saw a lot of the testimonials are people who are making that back as an investment very quickly. So if you have more questions about pricing or dates, just let us know in the chat. But registration does close in 1 week, and then registration is closed for a while. You can't get in, and we're going to be teaching our new class of students how to do the paycheck system. All right, Ron, some questions about trading for you. I'll forward those over to you here now. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. All right, so we did have we had this yesterday too, but we have questions from people who have a smaller account. So instead of just giving you dollar amounts, I'll let you fill in the blanks. But is there a size account that is ideal for this? And on the flip side, is there a size of an account that is too big?
Yeah, good question. So number one, I would say if you were gonna ask me, what should I put into this? What's an ideal amount? If you want to start small, 25 grand's a good amount. Why? Because it lets you do an SPX trade here and there. It lets you do some stock trades. Now, mind you can do this with as little as 5,000, and you can trade one contract of the SPX, and you could hopefully still make 3% per month. Now, as far as the higher end, I'm going to say your opportunities are going to start to become diminished after about $500,000. And that's not because the system doesn't work anymore. It's just because it's going to be harder to place trades with that amount of size on some of the stocks that are out there. Options have a limited amount of liquidity. Now, your big stocks like Microsoft and Apple and Google and IBM and all that stuff, they can handle big positions. It's not a big deal. But when you start getting into some of the lesser known stocks, it's going to be harder to put 40, 50 contracts on at a time to do that. So I'd say, right around $500,000, you're going to start limiting your options trading ability. You're going to have to stick to the major, huge volume movers, the S&P. That's kind of where I say it starts to kind of limit itself.
All right, and then we have a question from John who says, how frequently do you place the S&P trades?
I place them at least once per week. sometimes twice a week, depending on how the market's moving. But I do it at least once per week.
All right. Well, speaking of the S&P, and we've talked about this a couple of times, maybe why don't we just hop in and kind of show people what the course looks like? And because we keep teasing about this S&P bonus module, maybe it'd be good if people saw what the course actually looks like. Are you able to show that, Ron?
Yeah, give me 1 second here and I'll pop it up.
Okay.
I tried not to load it too fast this time. That way I didn't screw it up. All right, bear with me just a second. Here's what it looks like. Oops, wrong one. Here's what it looks like right here. And all we're going to do is we're going to go down to where it says, you'll see this in your university. It says the options paycheck experience. I would just click on, and mine says continue because I've already done it before. You would click on start course. And then this is what it looks like. So if you go to the upper left-hand corner, there's a getting started and a welcome recording you can watch. But the most important thing I would say is this course curriculum checklist, because you can print this out. It's 6 pages. It gives you just a quick, module by module checklist. That way you know you're doing all of the individual assignments in every module. And then all the way at the end there, this is the actual schedule that you're going to have for the live events. Now remember, you don't have to come to live events if you don't want to. We do record all these. You can watch the recordings of them later on. But this is the schedule for all of our live events. Print that out. That way you have it available to you for the next 2 months. Now, underneath the welcome, these are where all of your individual modules are at, modules 1 through 8. Every module section is the same. We start with our recorded lessons. This is the meat of the lesson, if you will. This happens to be broken up into 5 different lessons in a review. Watch all those. We've got review questions for each module. You can take a quick quiz to make sure you're getting the knowledge right. If you're worried about that, we even have an answer key video that you can watch where we do the quizzes live, where we did the quiz live and we answer all the questions. Every module has an action item. Well, just in case you don't know how to do it, we actually have a video that'll walk you through the items. That way, you have a step-by-step guide to doing this. Frequently asked questions, and then we also have a mastery session recording. So, for example, if I look at, this happens to be module 4, there's a recording there with a date of August 10th. Why is that August 10th, Ron? I thought this was live. Well, it will be. We have the prior options paycheck experiences recording session there if you want to jump ahead and you want to watch it. If you don't, no big deal. When it comes to module 4, which is the 2nd week of November, that will be overwritten with the one I do for your class. So we keep the older ones in there for you if you want to watch them. Now, getting into it a little bit further, under the modules, you have your SPX trading system bonus, the recordings for all of the office hours and Q&A sessions throughout the weeks. So again, if you open up week 1, you're going to see that there was a recording from August 4th. That's cool. You can watch that. Now, next week, when we do the one for your class, this will be overwritten, and you'll see a date with November there. And that goes through all of the 8 weeks of the recordings. We've got all of our old live trading sessions you can watch from August and September of my last class. My stock trades from the last class, you can watch those. And again, these will all get overwritten with yours as we get into December. Options Pro is included for the 2 months of the live curriculum, November and December. We've got some tutorial videos if you want to watch those. You don't have to. We're going to show you what to do. Broker videos, Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, Fidelity. And then most importantly, we've got these live webinar links. So we're going to email you, I think, 24 hours before each live event. Now, email's fluky sometimes, right? Sometimes, Gmail, Ymail, Hotmail, whatever email provider you use. Sometimes they put them in clutter. Sometimes they put them in junk. So you might be scrambling. It's an hour before the class. Ron, I don't have the link. You do. Go to the university site, last section, webinar links. Here are all the links you're going to need for the first week of the course. And then after that, we're going to activate the 2nd week, the 3rd week, the 4th week, etc. And then everything else for the rest of the course. So you can always go right here to get your link in case you don't see it via email. And then last but certainly not least, under resources, this section allows you to download all of the slides. So all the lessons are PowerPoints. This can let you download all the slides in either black and white color, worksheets. As you get a little bit lower or a little bit higher, I guess, into the modules, we also include things like the position sizing worksheet. Then in module 8, we're going to introduce the checklist. In the SPX, we've got step-by-step guides to Thinkorswim. We've got a trade tracking spreadsheet, all the resources that you're going to need to get the implementation off and running.
All right, cool. We got a couple of shout outs in the chat here. We got David who shouted out saying, I'm in. So welcome to you, David. And one of your coaching clients is watching on YouTube, Ron, Jay. He said, I really enjoy listening to Ron. I've learned so much and continue to do so. So great to have him here. I also saw Bruce P, not Bruce from the webinar, but another Bruce who's a coaching client of yours was in the webinar too. I wanted to give you a shout out there too. All right. So I think we only have a few minutes left of that discount. So if you go to, why don't we show everybody optionspaycheck.com. If you go to optionspaycheck.com, you'll notice that there's up at the top, there's a little countdown timer. So the $9.95 is only good for a short amount of time here, a few minutes left. But if you click on register today, you'll be brought down to where you could hit buy now. We'll do that in just a second. But right below that, we just added a thing to the site where these are some of the testimonials Ron read earlier, but we just uploaded like 25 other ones. And if you want to read some of those, maybe you're in some of the same positions that those people are, just click view all testimonials. There's a lot of testimonials on there. A lot of people have used this over the years. So you could check those out as well. But when you click on the register button, you'll be brought to a page where it asks you it'll look like you have to put in your name and email and create a password. So Ron, if you go back to that other page and just hit on the register button or the buy now buy now and save. If you go there, if you already have a username and password with VectorVest, I think a lot of you already have a VectorVest account. All you have to do is hit sign in. And you would go through the order process that way. That way the course goes onto your personal account. The only reason you'd have to put your first name, last name, email, password is if you are creating a brand new account with us. Okay? All right, so we have a couple more minutes left of that. Ron, I think you already answered this other question about trading in an IRA, so we can skip that unless you wanted to add any more to it.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, it's got to be what's called a limited margin IRA. So, call your broker, talk about that, but it's called a limited margin IRA. But yes, you can do it.
All right, this one just came in from Luis. Says, I just bought the experience and I'm looking forward to the training. And he says, thanks.
Excellent. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Luis. Ron, as far as time goes, like these trades, well, why don't we start with the two main types of trades? You got the S&P trades and the stock trades. If somebody's, let's say after they've gone through the experience, they've kind of learned it, how long does that take to implement on a weekly basis?
Everybody's going to be different, of course, but the S&P trade, you can really get that trade going in no more than 15 minutes a week. And I think that once you really know how to do the SPX trade, 15 minutes a week is even higher than you need. You can do it in 5 minutes, honestly. Now, if you're going to do stocks, it's going to, depend on how many stocks you want to trade. There's people out there that, you saw in some of the testimonials, out of the last 350 trades I took over the 10 months, that's a lot of trading. They're probably spending 2 hours a week doing that. That doesn't seem like a lot for 350 trades over the course of 10 months. And really, that's the beauty of this. Everything is such in a way where it's quick and simple, right? I personally don't trade that much. I trade about 150 trades a year, roughly. Okay. I can spend, I do this with my students. So I do spend a little bit more time on this because I walk people through it. But on my own, like when I'm on vacation, I'm not teaching my classes, I spend probably about 45 minutes a week doing my trading, which is a lot less than the 8 hours a day I used to spend in front of my computer when I was a day trader. So it just depends how much you want to put into this. You can do it in as little time as 5 to 10 minutes if you want to do an S&P. You can spend an hour doing stock trades. Once you get good, it could be 15, 20 minutes. So it really just depends on how much trading you want to actually do. It's up to you.
Well, Ron, that kind of wraps up the question. So I'll just remind everybody that registration closes in a week. So you have a week to get in, and then we start up the class on Tuesday next week. So Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you so you could wrap things up for I guess it's now the afternoon.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you guys again for attending the last hour and a half. I appreciate it. For those of you that signed up, thank you. For those of you that are still pondering it, give us a call. if you have any questions, we'll be glad to help you to make that decision properly for you. Remember, it's a risk-free decision. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone here next week on Tuesday for our welcome session. And we're going to have a good time together over the next 2 months. We're going to put together a good income system that's going to help you create reliable income. So thanks for attending once again, everybody. And we will see you hopefully all next week in our first live session. So thanks once again, and we'll see you then. Take care, everyone.